Do you remember like some of the older people, they might have had remedios or someone was a curandera or...
Uh, Everyone was. I mean, all the my mother, my grandmother, all my tia Zenaida. I remember uh, they all knew how to cure everything. They didn't depend on doctors. They knew how to cure everything, and everything was common. It was just common knowledge that the women and probably some of the men also had about how to fix different things. Whether it was I remember one of the weirdest ones was that one time my mom was very young, and Paul Gonzalez was over at my grandma's house, and they were playing and doing something, and something hit him. I don't know if it was a tool or a rock or something, or somebody threw it at him or what, but anyway, it hit him and put a big gash in his eyebrow. I mean, a bad one. And my grandmother sent my mother into the despensa, which is where they kept the horses and the stuff, and told her to go up and get the cobwebs off the roof, the or the walls, the corners, and get a bunch of cobwebs, and they put them on him. It stopped the bleeding, and it healed his. It was like the silk from the webs just made like a great bandage. I remember that was one of the weirdest cures that I had heard of.
Um, do you have like any specific memories of some of the elders of the village that maybe your mom or your grandma would say, well, this is a really great person?
Nah, not so much. Um, I remember going to visit a lot. We would go visit everyone. You know, from up like my tia Zenaida, who again wasn't related, but we called her my tia Zenaida, and Elviria, um, Rebecca, and Juanita, with my Jenny. My mom, my grandma would, I don't know, I mean, they were always so busy, raising 10 kids, washing clothes by hand, cooking on a wood stove, cutting your wood, raising your crops, all this other stuff. And they always had time to go to everybody's home. And it wasn't just a quick thing. They'd go and they'd spend the afternoon with them.
In your family, I heard this from several. Every day was, for example, Monday was wash day.
Yep.
Tuesday was ironing day, and Wednesday was, was that the
Yep.
same thing?
Every day, every day.
They had it was for sure, today we gotta do this,
In your family, what was the schedule?
Monday's wash day. I don't remember Tuesday, everything. I remember Fridays was enchilada day. That was baking day. My mom and my grandma would get up early. My grandma would make a big fire in the horno, outside the horno. And I don't know, probably by daylight she was already out there with the bread, sticking the bread in the horno. And
So do you remember how they fed the fire in the horno and how they cleaned it out?
yeah, they burn the wood, and then once the horno was hot, they'd leave the ashes, and I think they left the ashes. Maybe they could even clean out the ashes and then slide the bread in.
Mm-hmm. How long would it take? How long did you have to have a fire in there to heat it properly?
I imagine they had to have it for at least an hour, maybe two, because it had to be hot.
And then you stick a rag in the spout.
Right. So where the smoke comes up, they stick a rag in there, and then they put a board or something across the front so that the heat wouldn't come out.
But you sweep the coals or you leave the coals in, or you
Or
sweep
maybe
them out?
move them to the sides. I don't know if they swept them out. I mean, they probably didn't sweep them out because they wanted to keep the heat. So they probably moved them to the sides and then slide the bread in on the floor, on the mud floor.
And did they use trays for them, or
No.
just on the floor?
Well, they had to because the dough, I mean, it had risen and stuff, but it wasn't solid enough on the bottom to be able to slide it without a pan. So I think they had them on pans.
Do you remember any recipes from your house growing up?
Sopa. It's a bread pudding, and it was toast the bread, make your what do you call it, the sugar, the caramelo. You know, you heat up the sugar, put a little bit of water, heat it up, let it melt, let it turn brown. Put all kinds of good stuff in it like nutmeg and cloves and I don't know what other spices, and then you once you get the liquid, then you layer your toasted bread, and you pour the liquid on there, and you slice the cheese and put it on top of that, and you put raisins all over it, and then you start all over again until you end up with a pan about this tall, full of the best stuff in the world.
Yeah. Did they put piñón in it?
No,
No.
because we didn't. I don't know why we didn't. My mom didn't like it with piñón because somebody had to crack the piñón, and it was like unsanitary to, unless somebody figured out how to crack piñón without their teeth.
We did it no matter what, we cracked it ourselves, but yeah, some people did.
Do you remember going to La Mesa for
Piñón and for firewood?
Right.
That was a regular thing.
And
We
they
were
take
always
you
up
up there?
there. Yeah.
Did you go just for the day, or did you go for several days?
No, just for the day.
Yeah.
Just for the day. We'd always come back. And we always had an adventure,
Mm-hmm.
If it was weather like this, it wouldn't stop them. That my dad, my Uncle Leo, mainly those were the two that were together. We'd go up there because that's, they were going to go for either for hunting or for wood or for piñón. And we'd go up there, and invariably there would be a problem with one of the trucks. It would get stuck, or it would break down, or something, and it always became an adventure. But before I get off of the sopa stuff and the food, I remember one of the neatest traditions of Agua Fria